What's up, all my party people? Uh, so today, if you guys would allow me to talk at you a little bit, I want to talk about the ever elusive confidence. So I'm sure we've all heard the classic mantra, how confidence just fake it till you make it, right? That's what everyone always says. Just fake it till you make it. Um, in my long 21 years of life, I believed that all throughout high school. Confidence, you just gotta fake it, right? You just gotta, eventually you'll feel it. If you embody confidence, then you'll feel it. And it just doesn't really work like that. You kind of, because confidence isn't about how people see you. You can portray a confident persona, but that's not true confidence, right? You can talk like you're so sure of yourself and walk like your shit don't stink, right? But that's not true confidence. Confidence comes from within, in your own image. It's not any external factors of, well, I look good, so I'm confident, or I'm good at this, that, right? It's those things definitely play a factor where those things do make you more confident. Whenever you look good, you kind of feel good, and sometimes getting a little attention from the ladies if you're a dude, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's more about how you perceive yourself. I've been called cocky in the past, and sometimes I still do, but definitely a lot more in the past, because I was just kind of faking it. Like, I think people could tell that it was disingenuous. I didn't truly believe that I was doing this, and the other, But what I've come to realize over the past year or so is that this is my mantra. I might have heard it from somewhere or something similar, but I'm gonna take credit for it. Competence is confidence. This is what I've come to realize: is competence is confidence. And that's why I said earlier, those things, being good at something or looking good, they can play a factor, but that's not the whole thing. Because whenever you are competent, you know your abilities, right? You're not being cocky whenever you say, oh, I can handle this. I have experience with this, so I can handle this, or I'm knowledgeable about this. That's not cocky. If the doctor comes in and he tells you, well, this, and that is what's wrong with you, you're not going to sit there and be like, this guy's cocky. What does he know? What does he know about my body? Some people are like that, but most people, if you're going to the doctor, you're seeking his knowledge, and he walks with that confidence in his field because he's competent. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with today. I see it in different shades between men and women, but it's still the same kind of problem of, people just, they're not really finding that one thing that they want to get good at, or they want to excel at. And it kind of leads to these confidence issues. Like, that's the other key factor that I'm only recently realizing about being competent leading to confidence, is usually it only works well whenever you're competent in something that you're passionate about. You could be the most competent person in a retail job, but if that's not what's fulfilling you, that's not what you want for yourself, then you're kind of it's not really gonna do anything for your confidence. Maybe if you're making good money, I mean, let's say you're some big wig at Walmart or something and you're making big bucks, maybe that might do something for you, but you're not, your job's not fulfilling you. Maybe you don't have any hobbies, maybe you don't have any pursuits of just childlike pursuits, stuff you like to do as a child. I realize a lot of that carries into adulthood. Man, I used to love running around as a kid and just climbing and fighting and stuff. And I realized now, as a 21-year-old, I got a lot of responsibilities. I got a full-time job, house, I got mouths to feed, but I still just love, like, just running around and, climbing on things. I used to I can't really do it so much anymore unless if it's like late at night or something. I'm a grown man now, but I used to in high school. I'd just go to the park, go to the playground, and just climb around. We always used to play. It was called lava tag, and there was a lava monster, right? And they could only tag you if they were on the equipment, but they could also run around in the wood chips, but you couldn't touch the wood chips or else you became the lava monster. So, you just be parkouring and stuff, and then you got some people getting up on the roof because they wanted to be a freaking dingbat or whatever, but just stuff like that, just kind of, like, even just running around whenever you get a good run, or, like, I was never a big soccer guy, but I've been enjoying playing futsal, which is like, it's kind of like a little, it's almost like indoor soccer but outdoors, where you got a little concrete court. It's very small and the goalposts are small, so it's very high pace. You got a lot of running around, and a lot of switching angles and stuff. And I recently started training about 2-3 months ago. I recently started training MMA because I wrestled in high school, and I always just fought with my younger brother. We were just always fighting. It's just be for no reason. We just find really an excuse to, because it's fun, And I've been getting back in touch with all of these things lately, and I've been getting better at moving, and I've been getting better at fighting, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. I have a jiu-jitsu competition coming up, so let me know if you guys want to see any clips from that or anything, if anybody even freaking watches this. But, I'm doing all these things, man, that used to give me joy as a kid, or at least got me amped up, Fighting didn't always give me joy. I wasn't just like itching to fight, but in a sense I kind of was, it gets you kind of amped up. Just rolling around with your little brother and freaking just socking each other, and he starts getting mad and you're just all like, it just kind of gets you going. And I'm getting back in touch with that and getting better at it, and I walk with a little more, just like a little more spiff in my step, like I was, I'll be in my work clothes, I'll be at work, just feeling spiffy, dude. Like, I look like a bum, I got my freaking stained high-vis shirt on and stuff, but I just feel spiffy because I'm like, dude, I'm getting better at something. It's that confidence. It's the confidence to be able to handle rejection. It's a big thing. Is rejection just kills confidence, right? Just kind of, man, like, what's wrong with me? Like, this person doesn't want to date me, or this job doesn't want to hire me, or, whatever it is. Getting rejected, it's like a hit to the ego and your confidence, right? But if you don't have your confidence tied to some sort of like image of who you are, and it's more tied to just what you can do, then, man, it's almost indestructible. You know, I've been taking some L's. You know, I prayed to the Lord. I said, you know, test me, man. And he said, all right. And he's been sending quite a few tests my ways, but and I got a lot on my plate now. A lot on my plate. But I woke up this morning, you know, I said, got a lot on my plate. Let me put my bib on, you know. Me and my fork and spoon. Let me get 2 forks and just double fisting it, dude. Just dual wielding action. I got a big appetite, you know. You got a lot on your plate, get hungry. If you got a lot on your plate, get hungry. That's another thing, man. Whenever you start to build that competence, that confidence doesn't waver whenever times start getting hard, because that's another big crusher to just fake confidence, is just hardship. And we've all been there. I've been there many times. Everyone's been there, where just things just are not going your way, and you're just like, man, or like you got so many different external factors just weighing on you. You know, your shoulders are just getting heavy. You know, you feel like you got the weight of the world on you, and just feel ill prepared. You know, and sometimes you are. You know, sometimes you are. Sometimes you haven't been through enough hardship, or you haven't put yourself through enough hardship to build up that resilience to get through it. But whenever you start getting competent, competence isn't just like, oh, well, I do well in this, you know, whenever everything's going right. No, competence is, I can kick it into gear if things aren't going my way. You know, people can rely on me. I can rely on me. That's a big thing. You need to be self-reliant to have that confidence. If I'm not saying, you know, you gotta move out of your parents or anything like that. If you're a young man and you have the opportunity to stay with your parents and build something up, I say do it. You know, if they're not charging you rent, or they're charging you dirt cheap rent, do it. But having the means to be self-reliant, that's a big one. You know, if you do have that opportunity, make sure you're stashing away and you're not spending your money on stupid things, or, you know, video games, some chick, whatever. You know, don't go spending your money on stupid things, because you work hard for it, and you're gonna need to do things for yourself and your future family with that money. So kind of got to lock in on that a little bit. But another big thing about confidence is like, it's relaxed. You know, you don't really got to prove anything. Sometimes, and I'm still working on it, so sometimes I kind of get in that mode where I'm just like, man, I gotta, you know, they're saying this, and that, or I'm not getting this, and that, so I gotta prove myself. You really don't. Whenever you know your strengths and your weaknesses, people can't really tell you much that you don't know about yourself. And constructive criticism is always nice, you know, always take that and do what you will, but just criticism, or basically hating, that kind of stuff, you just kind of let it roll off your shoulders, you know? Let it roll off your shoulders. Psst. Okay. You're basing this off what? All right. I mean, if you're not going to help me, you're just going to point out an issue, but you're not going to help me, then, you know, what are you doing? My ears are open if you got any suggestions, but right now you're basically just being a hater. You can't let those kind of people weigh on your confidence, right? That's where competence comes in. There's so many external factors that just can kill your confidence, man. Like, And even whenever you are competent and you're becoming competent and you're starting to feel better, you're starting to realize what your scope is and how well you do in it and that kind of stuff. Like, these kind of things can still take a hit at your confidence, you know, depending on who they're coming from. Obviously, it's going to hurt more if it's someone who's closest to you. But that's where communication comes in. You make sure, hey, like, I appreciate your input. Can you explain this a little better instead of just making like kind of broad accusations and criticisms? And maybe even if you might have a game plan for me, and maybe we could bounce ideas off of each other. I'm a big game plan guy where I always like to game plan things, and that's not always a good thing. It's not always a good thing because you got to shift, you know, you got to switch gears a lot. But you just kind of got to roll with the punches in life. It's one thing I highly recommend any man that isn't in any kind of athletic endeavor to just try some out, you know. Building physical resilience is one of the quickest ways to build mental resilience, because really you start to realize through training, through any kind of training, that your mind's actually so much stronger than your body. Your mind like puts these inhibitors on you, and it tries to make things out to be worse than they are sometimes, where, man, you know, you're gassed, you got nothing in the tank. But whenever you just like kind of have like this delusion, you know, I got a lot of these kind of delusions that I trick myself with so that, you know, I don't just sit here and maybe it makes me a little crazy, but at least I'm not sitting here and moping anymore. But whenever you do that and you start to push your body past the point of your mind telling you no, it's really, it's going to do great things for your body, right? It's going to do great things for your cardiovascular system, your muscles, your bones, your joints, all that kind of stuff. Well, your joints, you got to be careful with because you can wear those out real quick. But it does these crazy things to your mind where no matter what it is, me personally, it was martial arts. It used to be wrestling, and now I do jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and boxing. And it just does these crazy things to your mind where you have that to call back on. I've been in situations at work or in any kind of endeavor, whatever I'm doing, where I'm just like, man, this is getting kind of rough, man, but I just gotta push through. And I've literally, I don't have it so much anymore, but this was a trick I used to use. Was I would literally tell myself, like, dude, wrestling is harder than this. Like, I've done crazier things in wrestling. This is nothing. And I highly recommend, as a young man specifically, even if you're a, like, athletically inclined woman, I think I would say probably average, or maybe, you know, half of women just aren't as athletically inclined as men. But I think the average man has like this kind of, gosh, it's gonna sound corny, man, but it's like almost like an untapped beast where you just never realize your full potential because you're limiting yourself. And for whatever reason, you know, like me personally, I kind of already have physical limitations, and also I just never really cared for many ball sports. Like, I was never gonna go far in basketball. I probably could have been decent, but I was never gonna go far because I'm freaking like 5'10". You know, I was never gonna go far in football because I'm a $165, and I don't put weight on easy. You know, I might have been able to do something in soccer, but all of those sports I didn't care for. I was always more inclined towards martial arts. And if you're that kind of guy, man, where you're like, man, like, say you're in high school, well, I'm too small for any of these sports. You might be just a tiny little guy. I knew some really tiny little guys in high school. You might be freaking 5'4", 5'6", buck 20 or under. Dude, try wrestling. Try wrestling. I can't lie. It's almost it's a little gay. It's a little gay, right? There's a stigma behind it. Oh my gosh, man, wrestling's so gay. You wear those tight singlets and grabbing up on a sweaty dude. Like, sometimes you're gonna be in a position where it's just like, man, this is like kind of fruity. But if you're really geared towards that kind of thing, that's not the whole point. That's not the whole point. You just realize, like, dude, it's really me versus me out here. Yeah, I'm competing in a one-on-one setting. No team. I have my team. We have a team score, but my team can't help me out there. But really, your biggest enemy in wrestling is yourself, or any martial art. It's the limits that you put on yourself, or your discipline. If, you might be a freak athlete, but you're limiting yourself. Or you might be a freak athlete, but you're not putting in the work you need to get to that full potential. And that's a really important lesson it teaches you. Highly recommend wrestling, maybe judo, maybe jiu-jitsu. I know schools don't offer that, but any kind of martial art, man, any kind of martial art. Striking, there's obviously, there's some drawbacks. There's drawbacks in grappling as well. It's hard on your joints. Pretty freaking hard on your joints. But with striking, you gotta, any martial art, any sport really, you gotta weigh the pros and the cons, because it does great things for your mind, but your body, it's gonna be in good shape. You're gonna freaking feel like you can move a mountain, man. Like, you're gonna be out here freaking doing crazy things. I remember I was doing freaking Superman rolls and all this crazy stuff. We were freaking just running for freaking like an hour and a half straight. All this crazy stuff. We were doing bear crawls with a buddy hanging on your neck, doing buddy carries up a steep hill, or you're doing a fireman carry, you got your buddy right here. All that kind of stuff. You do crazy things and your body gets super strong and endurant, but also, you will hurt your body. So, and then with striking, you will hurt your brain. So it's something you gotta weigh the pros and cons of. But if you're having problems with confidence, maybe look into it. This is what's worked for me. This is what's worked for guys that I know. So I can't say one size fits all, but it's worth a shot. At the end of the day, I think there's a lot of people out there, man, that they just don't see the light anymore. Sometimes we dig ourselves into these just super deep holes to the point where you just almost can't even see the sunshine anymore. And it's kind of out of self-loathing, self-pity, and I'm not hating on anyone's circumstances, because obviously there's so many different external circumstances that could lead to that kind of mindset. But You can't control the things that happen to you, but you can control what you do after. And you know, you might have dug yourself in a hole. You might not be able to see the sunshine, but someone can always throw you a rope. I mean, you still got to climb out of that hole yourself. But there's a lot of people out there who would love to just throw you a rope. And whether that's going to be a mentor in your job, in your career, or maybe someone at your gym, whether you're lifting weights or you're training martial arts, or maybe a coach if you're doing a sport. There's a lot of ropes out there, man. God, I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, and He can throw you that rope. You know, it's just, you're not alone. And I promise you, you don't even need to be out of that hole yet to start getting that confidence. Whenever you're sitting here and you're just freaking muscling your way out of that hole with that rope, and you're just giving it all you got and more, you could be halfway out of that hole. And, you know, you could either look up and say, man, I got so far to go. Or you could look down and say, man, I came such a long way. And that is competence. To be able to even get halfway out of that hole. You got to be competent. Got a little deep there. Whoa. Just know, all my party people, there's people out there who care about you and love you and want to see you do better. You should care about you and love you and want to see you do better. And most importantly, God cares about you and loves you and wants to see you do better. And don't lose sight of that, man. You're never on your own. Lone wolves starve. You need a pack. You know? Iron sharpens iron. And that's not always just about working out. Just don't try to do it on your own. Don't be scared to ask for help, and even more importantly, don't be scared to accept help. If someone's already throwing you that rope and you're freaking setting that sucker on fire, don't do it, man. You need them. But anyways, I don't know. These are just some things I've been ruminating on, I guess. I mean, that term's kind of negative. I don't know. I've been reflecting on them. You know, I've been reflecting on these things, and I hope maybe, you know, I just hope one person out there, you know, I'm just a 21-year-old dude. I mean, I really don't know anything, but if you're younger than me, or even if you're my age or older, and you just never seen this perspective before, I hope this can help you out. And just know, I mean, there's people out there that care, and shoot, I'll probably link my Instagram in this video, so you guys can even just hit me up if you like. I'm here for you too. Peace. Das Vidania. I think that means see you later or something like that. I don't know. Hasta luego. See ya.